Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Remote No Pressure podcast. We're super excited that you're here with us today. One of the cool things that's going on right now is tomorrow morning I'll be on the local NPR station here talking about what's going on and why we're growing the way we're growing, and just talking to the guests there about Remote No Pressure and the podcast and how people's lives are just being affected in a very positive way. So I just want to thank everyone that's been a part of this, even you, the listener, every week, time and time again. It's just amazing to see the numbers coming back as we just continue to grow. If you're not part of our mailing list, go to remotenopressure.com and sign up for that. That's going to give you emails, and you're going to get things before our regular listeners on our other pages get. So, like if you're on Facebook or Instagram or anything, usually we make announcements via mailing list first. So be sure to go to remotenopressure.com and sign up for that. Also, speaking of social media outlets or social media, our Instagram has grown like crazy. I mean, we're approaching 6,000 followers very quickly. So what I did, because that's obviously a very popular part of what we do, is the pictures, and people send in pictures, and it's just a lot of fun. So what I did is I contacted a guy by the name of Sam Henderson, and he is a senior outdoor media producer with a company called Digital Outfitters LLC, and they've worked with a lot of big companies. And I could sit here and read his bio, but I called him because I wanted to know what makes a great photo. What captures that moment when we're outdoors? How can we capture that with our iPhone, or how can we capture that with everything that we have at our disposal on the water? I'm super excited about this interview. Welcome to the podcast. Let's light the fire. Today on the Remote No Pressure podcast, we have Sam Henderson with us. Thank you for joining us, Sam.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jeff.
One of the reasons I reached out to you, Sam, is our social media sites, and they're very unequal. So our Instagram page, I mean, we're pushing 6,000 followers, and we're growing at a tremendous rate. So a lot of our listeners are on Instagram. And the reason I reached out to you is you take great pictures. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the companies that you've worked with, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been privileged to work with a lot of really great outdoor brands over the past several years, and probably more on the fishing side. I've worked with a lot of the pure fishing brands, Berkeley, Garcia, Penn, and some of those other guys. Some really great brands out there, and I've had to work with a lot of different types of product, but I always enjoy, when you get to be out in nature and feature those products, how they're going to be used. Whether it's an amazing rod reel combo or a crankbait or a fishing lure, that type of thing. Being out in nature and featuring it where it's supposed to live is what I enjoy doing with my job, and I think that is part of what makes just being out in nature fun. That's why we do what we do, why we have a lot of fun doing that.
What percentage would you say of your job is art, and what percentage of it would you say is not art? It's very practical. You know what I'm saying? Like what percentage is art? What percentage of it is just pure science and no emotion?
Sure. Yeah. I think what I usually see, what people see typically with an end product is they get to see a lot of the art, the cool shots, the amazing underwater shots, and the drone videography and all that in a piece. The real science behind it, and this is something that anybody can take away, even if you're just bringing a camera out on your next outdoor adventure, it's the preparation. That's where the science really lies. It's having whatever gear you have, having it prepped properly, knowing how to use it, and also having a plan for what you are going to capture, how you're going to capture it, and just taking the time. It just take the time, take a couple extra takes if you have to, a couple extra shots if you have to. That's what really sets apart and allows you to be able to find that art, is by delving into that the time taken really shows through in the end product of whatever images that you find yourself capturing is taking that time. And that, if you look at people that, people follow, or you really like the photos that somebody's taking, chances are, almost 100% of the time they're taking the time to get those shots. And that's the science behind it. The art really comes into place when you have that, when you have all those pieces in place. It allows you to really to work within the space really well. Without all that preparation, it just leads to more frustration, and the end product just doesn't look right. It just won't fit and live up to your expectations.
I know with fishing in general, I know with fly fishing especially, I mean, there's a lot of components. You have your backing, you have your float line, you have your tippet, you have all of these different parts of and then you got to match the hatch. I mean, there's like a lot that goes into it, and a lot of preparation goes into it whenever you're whenever you're hunting or fishing or doing anything. Prepping the night before makes such a huge difference in how good your trip goes. A lot of our guys here may have like a camera on their phone, or they may have what are those waterproof cameras now that GoPros. Yeah. So, like, let's just say that the backyard photographer like me, or like some other people who post up pictures, what would their preparation look like the night before? What are some things that they could do to prepare themselves for their trip?
Sure. So like you mentioned with the GoPro cameras, which I usually travel with at least 3 or 4 of those, definitely would recommend those if somebody's looking to put a little bit of resources towards, capturing that next level of photos or video. I would definitely recommend GoPro or any kind of action camera that gives you the ability to get under the water in fish's native habitat, get up high, take some neat shots. So I would recommend, going for that. But, if you just have your phone and that's all you got, and you're kind of in the moment, what I would recommend is, if you feel comfortable with it, look around on whether you're on an Apple or an Android device. Look around for some apps that give you a little more control over the photos that you're taking. There's some decent free ones out there, and I don't have any that come to mind right away, but look around and see if there's a couple apps that allow you to control a little more of what that camera is taking. I know if you want to get a little more creative, they do have some lens options for various cameras. I know I've seen some of those that take some pretty neat photos. So, if you have some of that type of thing, little stands are nice if you want to, set up your phone on a little rock or something, or find a case that allows you to attach a stand, or, even like a selfie stick can be used. I'm not, a huge fan of the selfie, but I think it's something that, using that stick to get the different angles. And so, having a little, a grab bag that you can have with you, making sure your batteries are charged. If you have an extra camera, just having all your gear stowed away, so you can just grab it and take that gear with you on that next trip. And just having it available, I think, is really key. And, like I said before, taking the time, take that time, try a couple different angles, try some burst mode shots, maybe set up whatever camera you have. If you can get a little, I know there's something called a gorilla pod out there, which you can use to grapple onto like a tree or something close, and maybe try out shooting a time lapse. A lot of phones and the GoPros allow you to do a time lapse which can be really neat, doing a couple of those, especially if you're going to leave that camera for 15, 20 minutes while you go out and, scout the next hole down the bend or something like that. Try doing stuff like that. Those kind of shots can just be amazing, especially the places you travel. Remote places for, whatever your sporting of choice is. And that's, I guess what I would recommend.
That's great. We really appreciate you doing that. Now, can you just go into a little bit more detail on what a burst sequence is? Because I'm not real familiar with that.
Sure. Okay, so the burst sequence, and some phones have it, the GoPro cameras have that. What that allows you to do is set up so that it's taking multiple photos really quickly. You'll see it used in action, maybe a Red Bull dirt bike video or something, but it allows you to take a series of burst photos. And I found that to be really effective if you have, say that, that prize trout on the line or when time is of the essence. You don't want to mess around too much. You want to make sure you release whatever fish you have, in a good way, if that's, your choice. And not stress the fish out too much. So I found that burst photography gives me the option of, 50 to 100 photos, getting different angles, that type of thing. And, sometimes your first couple photos aren't going to be great, and having a burst gives you that. As far as time lapse, which is similar but used a little differently, time lapse, if you've ever seen, where you've seen video, what looks like video of, clouds moving across the mountainscape or shadows growing really fast. It looks like they sped up time. Time lapse is taking a photo every 3, 5, 10, 30 seconds, depending on how you set up the settings on the camera. And what that does is then you can lace that together. And I believe GoPro does this now, and a lot of phones do this as well. But they lace all those photos together into a time-lapse video. And those are used a lot in some really neat, creative ways throughout, even ads and other things. But they can be a really neat way to showcase just a beautiful scenery scape or maybe a mountain valley or a stream or something like that. And just the passage of time, especially if you have some cloud movement in there or sun movement, even star lapse at night, can be really a neat opportunity to capture just the amazing location that you're exploring that day.
That's great. That's really good advice. I mean, I was just out fishing with a buddy of mine, and I caught a brown trout, and I don't like taking them out of the water for very long at all. It was a kind of a warmer day for the fall, so he took a few pictures and they didn't come out so well. So using that burst option, I could definitely see as being really beneficial whenever, like you said, time is of the essence, and a lot of these fish, especially native species that you want to keep them wet. You don't want to stress them out at all. Yeah, that's great. I never even thought about that.
Yeah. And I would also recommend, lighting can be an issue depending on, I know, us outdoorsmen like to get out, before any sane person is awake and get out in the field. And sometimes, you'll wind up catching that fish or getting that deer or, whatever your quarry of choice that day is, early or late. And so something that you can come up with that is nice is a small LED light. You can find them in the $20 to $30 range on Amazon, run off usually some AA batteries or something like that. But if you want to add another thing to that video photo kit that you want to take in the field, a little LED light just gives you a little more, it gives a little pop to whatever you're filming or shooting with a photo. If you have a DSLR or a little bit nicer camera, you will have a flash on there and you can get away with that. But if you're trying to get something more, I would recommend a little LED light panel. Preferably, if you can figure out a way to attach it to whatever camera system you're using, then you can have some hands-free. But that's another little tool that I use a ton in my work when I'm just need that extra bit of light. And, say you're doing a little bit of commentary, maybe you want to do a vlog or something out in the field. That light can be really nice in that blind, or if the light's not showing up real well, just to light up your face or to show what you're trying to show close up to the camera.
Yeah, that's great. Now, is there like a brand or a recommendation that you would make us for the LED light, or do we just like go on Amazon and search for a certain size of LED light, or does it need to be packable? How should we make that selection?
Sure. Yeah, I would say you're going to get what you pay for in a lot of these situations. But I don't want to, if you want to find something, I don't think there's some good options out there that aren't going to break the bank. I would say a good place to look if you want to go a little more professional is a place that a lot of us video and photo guys go. It's called B&H Photo Video. That's bhphotovideo.com. They have a ton of, they sell to the professional videographer, photographer, media producer, as well as the prosumer and consumer guys. And they'll have some really good options for you, and you can, really figure out what works for you in that. And they also give a lot of the lights give you the option of tinting it as well. That may be a little bit of an advanced level as far as what you're looking for, but the tint allows you to give it a little bit of a warm hue or a little bit of a white-blue hue to whatever you're filming, depending on the setting and what looks good to you in that photo.
So the takeaways are really try the burst option, the time-lapse option, and having an LED light definitely could be an advantage as well. Now let's talk about you a little bit, Sam. Now recently, according to your bio, which is up on our website, you've started your own. Is it an agency, Digital Media LLC?
Correct. Yeah, I've started my own small agency, kind of a one-man deal, but I work with a lot of great freelancers and producers, so I can handle a little bigger projects if those come along. But what my goal really is I've worked in the industry. I've worked with a lot of big brands, so when I've been out working in my career, I've run into a lot of really good guides for hunting, fishing, and little guide services, lodges, those type of things. And something that I've just found is a lot of those guys do a great job at what they do. They're amazing at, getting you on the fish, finding you game, whatever, you're hiring them to do. But they tend to, it's a really tough world when it comes to trying to market yourself online in a digital space. And so my goal, I guess, for my company, which is called Digital Outfitters LLC, is empowering those guys with coming alongside if they're interested and helping them create some digital media and also put that media in the right place so that people can get to know them through their Facebook, through their Instagram, getting them set up with maybe a YouTube channel, whatever they're comfortable with, helping them improve their website, and just allowing people to see the amazing experience that they can have by, signing up for a hunt or a fishing trip with these folks. And so that's kind of been my goal through creating this agency. I also work with other, small brands, promoting their product, whether it's through product video or, a field sizzle reel showing off, their products and that type of thing. And, it's right now things are growing well. I've got a decent number of clients, and and it's a fun experience just to be able to come alongside people and help them really use the power of of Google and Facebook and some of these things to really push their business, and just get the word out. I think a lot of that's the main thing, is just getting the word out about what they do, how they do it, and giving people an idea of the experience they can have by hiring these really great folks out in the outdoors.
What do you see? What do you see, Sam, as probably the number one mistake guides or people in the outdoor business make when it comes to online marketing?
So when it comes to online marketing, I think a lot of people try it and they're working really hard at it, and the main issue I see is that people focus all in one area, whether it be Facebook, whether it be their website, whether it be Instagram or all these different places, and they're really good at one thing. Even LinkedIn can be a really good way to connect with other professionals, or the a professional company that's maybe looking for a trip that they want to take some clients on or something like that. So there's a lot of really good tools out there, but I guess I see a mistake that's made very commonly out there is that people focus on one thing. And if you're putting all your time and energy into Facebook, that's great. But if people can't go to a decent website that showcases what you have, they're going to leave. People's attention span is so short these days. In the industry, they say if you can't find what you need on a website in about 2 to 3 clicks, you're gone. The average consumer's gone. And so I guess what I see is a lot of these guys have, these guide services have, decent websites that were maybe decent 5-10 years ago, but they just can't compete with the high power flashy websites that the guys with the budgets have. And so, it's balancing your marketing budget, even if it's a very small amount, between, having a website that gives people exactly what they need right there on the front page, and easy to see, maybe a little sizzle reel showing what you do, a button, please contact us, right there on the front page. Don't get in the weeds with a lot of stuff. Just make it super simple. And then use your social media to drive people to that website, and have people then from there contact you and hopefully build a relationship with them from there. A lot of people, to use the fishing analogy, a lot of people, you get a lot of bites. You're getting a lot of hits. You may be getting a decent following, but it's figuring out how to set that hook to bring in that client, which can be a really big deal, because they're going to tell their friends. They're going to, if they're a happy client, you're going to get that word of mouth moving, and that is really where, especially if you can get really a nice review section on that front page of a website, and as soon as people are, probably the week after somebody's come on a trip, try to remember to ask for that review while it's fresh in their mind. Even if something I've done with some of my clients that has been really effective is, even when you're out in the field or at the end of a hunt or the end of their trip, if you can just get the folks, if they're willing to sit down and do a little 10-minute just debrief review video, those can be really key. That's, it's going to be kind of natural off the cuff. They're going to be, they may not be as professional or as polished, but just their take on the trip and, what they would recommend to somebody coming on that trip. Those kind of things posted up on social media can be gold. That, somebody can see that and go, wow, this guy had an amazing trip. That's what I want. and it's not you bragging about yourself. It's it's your clients basically telling about the amazing experience they've had.
How did you get involved in the outdoor industry, Sam?
So I've been involved with the outdoor industry for about 4 years now. Have always been an outdoorsman. Grew up hunting and fishing as a hobby. Been teaching hunter safety and firearm safety with the Minnesota DNR for over 10 years, and just really enjoyed the outdoors. And I was able to kind of pursue a passion of mine in media production and videography in college. And then after that, and college is kind of a hard place to keep up outdoor hobbies. So I kind of let some things slide and, didn't get out in the field as much as I wanted to. And then when I got out of college, I was fortunate enough to be to meet some really great folks. A couple different companies that hired me on in different positions to start working in outdoor media. Had some really neat opportunities to work with some really great professionals who have been working in the industry for 25, 30 years. Have really, they've really invested a lot of time and effort in just showing me what it takes to do, great outdoor media. And I've really enjoyed that. It's been a neat experience. I'm still, working with a lot of these guys who have, put in the time and effort and who produce some amazing content over the years. And I'm just privileged to be a part of, the outdoor industry now and have the opportunity to, basically capture, some of the most amazing footage out there that anybody possibly could ask for. There's just the medium of outdoor video, outdoor digital production is just I couldn't imagine doing anything else besides working in the outdoor industry, in the outdoor space, capturing God's creation.
Yeah, that's great. What do you say to someone who maybe maybe haven't found their passion, or maybe, because a lot of our guys, one of the main reasons we started this podcast, Sam, is just a lot of people, they don't know what their passion is, or maybe they discovered it later in life and they're really stressed out at their job, or, they're at a point in their life where they don't know if they should pursue their passion or continue the status quo. And you've obviously found success in pursuing your passion. What would you say to someone who is considering stepping out and doing what they're passionate about?
Well, I think when it comes to being passionate about various things, I think I tend to be a pretty conservative person when I jump into anything, and I like to really study what my options are. And I think, everybody has a little different threshold, I guess, to what they're comfortable with, jumping into, as far as, if you've got something that, it's a hobby, it's a huge part of your life, that you really enjoy, and you'd like to see if there's a possibility of turning that into a career choice. That's a really neat option. And I think, I would highly recommend talking to others that are successful at it, and get some coaching from them. Build a good team around yourself that can coach you through the first couple of years. I've helped my dad build a small business, a home maintenance business, right out of high school. And, the amazing thing about small businesses and going out on your own is it is just plain hard work. It is, getting up every day. There's nobody there that's going to tell you what to do. You've got to get out there. You've got to grind. And what a lot of people don't see is 7, 8 years down the road, you've been grinding hard, and you're starting to hit that plane. You're starting to get on plane. You're starting to see things coming together. And at that point is when people come around and go, man, I wish I could do what you do. I wish I could quit my job. I wish I could, just do what you do. And really, they're looking at where you are right now. And so I would recommend, don't give up early. If you're really going to pursue it, you got to pursue it for a good amount of time. Have some limits. I'm no financial planner, but I would highly recommend set yourself a financial limit. If you have a chunk of savings or a way you're funding yourself, give yourself a limit and see if this is going to work. And if you hit that limit and you got to go back to the regular working world, you're going to go back with at least learning a ton about what you've done, what you've tried to do. And if you can help it, don't let whatever you built die. Even if you have to go back or you have to pull in that part-time work, freelance work, whatever you can come up with to keep that boat afloat until you can really, land the right clients or build up the right clientele. And it is a grind. It is hard. It is, part of building a small business. I mean, America is a great place to build a business, but it is still a lot of work, and there's no getting around that. There's no, easy way to, there's no, all these, work from home schemes. It's just plain hard work. So, yes, success is a great thing, and that's what a lot of people see on the surface. But underneath all that success is just, long days, long nights, hard work, pulling your hair out, trying to figure out, how you're going to pay the bills. And, if that's what you want to jump in for, the water's not bad. So, jump on in, but make sure you have some good mentors on your side to really help guide you and help put your feet in the right places, help you miss those, guide you through the mistakes that, maybe they made, and allow you to hopefully stand on their shoulders a little bit and be able to really reach for, that ideal, follow your passion type job.
Yeah, that was a great answer. That was spoken like a true politician. You should run for office. No, no, but it's great. I mean, I think there's some.
I'm too honest for that.
I think there's some wisdom there. Count the cost before building the building. But yeah, it's definitely a grind. So, well, we really appreciate you taking some time with us, Sam. If someone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
All right. Yeah. If folks want to contact me, I'd love to hear from anybody. If you're interested in just working together, or, if you're just looking for some tips and tricks, I'm always happy to, just give a little bit of advice. If you want to send me a link to something and have me critique it a little bit or give some tips, I'd be happy to do that. I don't have the magic bullet when it comes to figuring out how things work, but I have been out there enough to know what works and what doesn't in a lot of settings. So I'd be happy to, dialogue with folks and just connect. So the best way to reach me is just, you can email me at sam@digioutfitters.com. Or you can give me a call. My phone number is 952-288-7934. So either way works for me, and love to hear from folks that are, interested in just either growing their business, growing a brand, would like to just explore digital media, or just, see what would work well for their situation.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you for listening to the Remote No Pressure podcast. We're so excited of everything that's going on here. We're so happy that you're a part of this. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, if you haven't signed up for our mailing list, be sure to do that. Also, you'll find a lot of links to Sam's work as well at our website at remotenopressure.com/blog. Until next time, go fishing.